Picture this. The year is 80 AD. The Colosseum has just opened. Emperor Titus has thrown 100 days of games to celebrate the completion of the most ambitious building Rome has ever constructed. 50,000 people, 8 acres of sand, trapdoors, pulleys, underground chambers, and enough animal blood to stain the arena floor for a generation. Rome has never seen anything like it. But this story is not about the crowd. And it's not about Titus. It's about you. You are a secutor, a heavily armed gladiator, trained to fight against the net and trident fighters known as the retieri. You've been a gladiator for 4 years. You are not a slave. You signed a contract, the octramentum, voluntarily at 22 years old, after your farm in Campania failed for the 2nd consecutive year, and you had nothing left to sell. The contract gave you food, housing, medical care, and a small payment per fight. In exchange, you gave the ludus, the gladiatorial school, complete authority over your body, where you sleep, what you eat, when you fight, whether you live. Today, you fight. Using historical records, archaeological evidence, and accounts from Roman writers, including Juvenal, Pliny, and Seneca, we've reconstructed what 24 hours as a gladiator in the Roman Colosseum actually looked like. Not the myth, not the movie, the real thing. The smell of the hypogeum, the weight of the helmet, the sound of 50,000 strangers deciding whether you deserve to breathe. Let's step back 2,000 years. You wake before dawn in the Ludus Magnus, the gladiatorial barracks adjacent to the Colosseum, connected to it by an underground tunnel. House several hundred fighters at any given time. Your cell is small. Stone walls, a wooden bed frame, a lamp that you leave unlit to save oil. You've been in this cell for 2 years, since your transfer from the training school in Capua. You know today's pairing. The editor, the sponsor of the games, in this case an official acting on behalf of Titus himself, published the program 3 days ago on painted boards around the city. Your name was on it. The name of your opponent was on it. Romans have been placing bets on the outcome since yesterday. His name is Draco. You've never fought him, but you've watched him twice from the tunnel entrance. He is a retiarius, nearly naked, armed with a weighted net, a trident, and a short dagger. Fast, left-handed. He has a habit of throwing the net early when he's nervous, which means if you can make him nervous, you can bait the throw and close before he resets. You've been thinking about this for 3 days. You get up. The stone floor is cold. Down the corridor, you can already hear others moving. The smell of the morning fire in the courtyard, the low murmur of men eating. You dress slowly. Tunic, belt. You leave your armor for later. This morning, you eat as much as you can hold. The gladiator's diet is not what most people expect. Roman fighters eat enormous quantities of barley and beans. The trainers call it the sagina, the fattening. The goal is to build a layer of fat over the muscle. Not for strength, for protection. A thick layer of subcutaneous fat means a blade is more likely to produce a dramatic but survivable wound rather than immediately reaching something vital. Romans want to see blood. They do not, for the most part, want to see death. A dead gladiator is an expensive gladiator, and the lanista, the owner of the ludus, has invested years of training in you. So you eat barley, you eat beans. You drink a calcium-rich drink made from ash and water that the doctors swear by. You've been eating this way for 4 years. Your body is almost unrecognizable from the farm laborer who walked through the gates of the training school in Capua. This morning you eat in silence. The newer men talk, the veterans don't. You are a veteran now. Training begins at first light, even on fight days. Not the full session. The lanista isn't foolish enough to exhaust men hours before they perform. But the body needs to be warm. You work through your forms with the wooden training sword in the courtyard. The same sequences you have practiced 10,000 times. Shield movement. Footwork. The specific defensive posture of the Secutor. Helmet visor nearly sealed. Small eye holes limiting vision to a narrow band. You fight almost blind in that helmet. 4 years in, you barely notice. He watches you work for a few minutes, then says, "Stop chasing the net. Let it come to you." He's right. You've been thinking about baiting Draco's throw, but the instinct when a net comes at your face is to move away from it, which is exactly what Oriciarius wants. You need to move into it. Take it on the shield. Close the distance before he can reset with the trident. You practice the movement for an hour. Step into it. Shield up. Close. Then the doctor sends you to rest. By mid-morning, the city outside is already in full noise. The game started at dawn. Animal hunts first. Exotic beasts from across the empire released into the arena against hunters. Lions from North Africa, bears from Germania, crocodiles shipped alive across the Mediterranean. You can hear the crowd from inside the ludus. The roar when an animal is killed carries through the stone walls. At midday, there is a pause. Some spectators leave to eat. Others stay and watch the executions. Condemned criminals killed in the arena as a demonstration of Roman justice. No skill, no drama, just death staged publicly. You don't go near the tunnel entrance. You rest on your bed, eyes on the ceiling, and go through the fight in your head for the 100th time. Net, shield, close, trident. Inside the reach of the trident, he has only the dagger. Inside the reach of the dagger, you have the gladius. You go through it until it stops being a plan and becomes something more like memory. The call comes in the early afternoon. Time to armor up. The Secutor's equipment takes longer than most people imagine. Greaves on the left leg, heavy bronze strapped tight. The scutum in the left arm. The manica, a segmented arm guard, strapped to the right arm from wrist to shoulder. And finally, the helmet. The Secutor helmet is designed specifically to deny the Oriciarius any surface for his net to catch on. Smooth, rounded, almost featureless visor. 2 small eye holes. A crest that offers nothing to snag. It is magnificently engineered, and inside it, in the heat of a Roman afternoon, it is almost unbearably hot. Within minutes of putting it on, the sweat begins. An attendant helps you buckle the chin strap. You've had this helmet for 2 years. The inside smells of sweat and metal, and something older that you don't think about. You pick up the scutum. You pick up the gladius. You are ready. The underground network beneath the arena floor is vast. Corridors, cages, lifts operated by ropes and counterweights, holding areas for animals and fighters. The smell is overwhelming. Animal dung, blood from the morning hunts. The iron smell of old weapons stored in racks along the walls. You walk in line toward the gate that opens beneath the arena floor. Above you, through the wooden planks and the sand, you can hear the crowd. 50,000 people. The sound is physical. You feel it in your chest more than you hear it with your ears. The gate opens. The afternoon sun on white sand is almost blinding after the dim corridors below. The crowd sound doubles. They've seen the fighters emerge, and the roar is not personal. It is collective, the sound of 50,000 people anticipating something. You find the sand with your feet, you march to the center. The editor stands to acknowledge the fighters. The crowd settles into a charged, specific quiet. Across the sand, Draco stands, net coiled in his left hand, trident in his right. He is watching you. You watch him back. The fight lasts less than 4 minutes. He throws the net early, exactly as you expected, exactly as Gaius said he would, when the pressure of 50,000 eyes makes him move before he means to. You step into it, shield up, The net catches on the boss and drapes across the scutum's face, and you are already moving through it, closing the distance before he can pull it back or set the trident. Inside the reach of the trident, he drops it and goes for the dagger, and you take a cut across the left forearm. Not deep, but the crowd sees the blood, and the sound they make is something you will never fully be able to describe to someone who hasn't stood in the center of it. Then he is on the ground. You don't remember the exact sequence. It never feels the way you practiced it, but the outcome matches what you drilled for. He is down, shoulder wound, looking up at you through the dirt and sweat. You look at the editor's box. A crowd decides. 50,000 people communicating a preference about whether a human being lives or dies through the collective movement of their hands and voices. You watch the editor read the crowd. You keep your blade at Draco's throat, and you wait. The signal comes. Mercy. He lives. You step back. The crowd sound changes again. Approval, release, the noise of people who have gotten what they paid for. Draco gets up slowly. His shoulder is bad. He will not fight again for months. You both walk toward the gate, 4 feet apart, not looking at each other. Neither of you speaks. There is nothing to say. You both know what just happened, and neither of you has the words for it that would mean anything to anyone who wasn't standing on that sand. By evening, you are back in your cell. The arena doctors have cleaned and bandaged the forearm. It will scar. You have 7 scars now, which the fighters at the Ludus consider respectable for 4 years. 3 from training, 4 from bouts. The Lanista stops by briefly. He is pleased. The editor has inquired about booking you for the next series of games in 3 months. He leaves. You eat your evening meal. Barley, beans, olive oil. Your hands are steady. They always are after. It's the hours before that are difficult. The city outside is still loud. Somewhere, men who watched you fight this afternoon are arguing about the details of the bout over dinner. Somewhere, someone is buying a small clay figurine of a secutor at a street stall as a souvenir. You are a celebrity. You are also property. Both things are true at the same time in the same life, and you stop trying to reconcile them sometime in the 2nd year. You lie down. The lamp is unlit. Through the stone wall, you can hear the man in the next cell, a Threx named Barca, already sleeping. He fights tomorrow. 3 months until the next booking. 90 days of training, barley, and the specific quiet of a man who has survived something again and is waiting to be asked to survive it once more. You sleep. So that was 24 hours as a gladiator in ancient Rome. Not the spectacle as the crowd experienced it. The version lived from inside the helmet. The gladiator's history tends to remember are the ones who became famous. Spartacus, who led a slave revolt, or the champions whose names were scratched into the walls of Pompeii by fans who followed their records the way modern cities follow their athletes. But most gladiators were men like the one we followed today, men who signed a contract out of desperation, who learned a brutal skill, who survived longer than the average, which was somewhere between a few bouts and a few years, and who lived a life that existed entirely outside the categories Roman society used to organize itself. Not quite slave, not quite free, not quite citizen, not quite entertainer. Something the Roman world created and then didn't fully have a name for. In 80 AD, the Colosseum was new. It would stand for centuries. The games would continue for hundreds of years. The sand would be replaced and replaced and replaced again. And men like the one we followed would keep walking out of the hypergeum into the light, blinking behind their helmet visors, finding the sand with their feet, and waiting for the signal. Thanks for watching Lives of the Ancients. Reconstructing experiences like this one, from the inside out, from the ground up, is what this channel exists to do. If this journey through the Colosseum meant something to you, hit subscribe for more immersive history and drop a comment. What ancient soldier, slave, merchant, or ordinary person should we follow next?